You can have a pretty painting, you can have a cool concert flyer, but if nobody's at the show, if nobody's volunteering for your nonprofit or donating, you can't keep the lights on. So that's my passion, is trying to find like the intersection of storytelling and digital marketing to really connect with people where they're at and help them take action and join in on what you're already doing, which is creating really good things in this world.
Hello and welcome to the Success and Focus podcast. Yes, Success and Focus podcast, episode 2. My name is Danny, and today we're going to talk to my friend Nick Bynum, who is a communication director, and he is someone that I've learned so much about marketing and actually talking to people the right way. That way, I can experience success in sales and so much more. If you are a nonprofit or a church or even a business, man, you are going to benefit so much from this podcast episode, and you're going to be learning so much from Nick on what to do and what not to do. So let's go ahead and jump into this conversation. Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your experience with communication and marketing.
Hello. My name is Nick Bynum, and I have been working in marketing and communication since 2011. I started off working for a chain of music stores, and then ended up working for churches and nonprofits. Before that, I kind of, cut my teeth with some of the marketing by just being a punk rock skateboarding kid who was doing graffiti and needed to pirate Adobe Photoshop, and then needed to promote his band. So he used Photoshop to make flyers and stuff like that. And then, the music stuff happened for a while, and I was able to kind of dip my toes into some of the working with the press, working with promoters and stuff like that. So I got to kind of learn some of that stuff. But you and I, we're both elder emos.
So that's one of the things too that we related a lot. Was there was a moment where we're like, oh, you like that band? I like that band. And we were just like talking about the Tooth and Nail record days and
Yes.
emo days and just what we were into and stuff. And obviously, we still reminisce from time to time. And
We even went and saw Maylene and the Sons of Disaster on
oh my
their
God, that was
their
epic.
reunion tour. Remember?
Yeah, 100%.
Like most, elder emos who were in bands, you get to a certain age and you're like, I need to start paying rent and making some money. So I went back to school. I got a degree in public relations, then started working for the music stores and became their marketing manager. Did that for a little while and then just felt called into ministry. Got into ministry in 2017. And since then, I've been working with churches in varying degrees, doing some consulting with nonprofits, working with some nonprofits, and really just trying to help organizations clarify their messaging so that people resonate with what they're doing and then take action. But you can have a pretty painting, you can have a cool concert flyer, but if nobody's at the show, if nobody's volunteering for your nonprofit or donating, you can't keep the lights on. So that's my passion, is trying to find like the intersection of storytelling and digital marketing to really connect with people where they're at and help them take action and join in on what you're already doing, which is creating really good things in this world.
So I remember first meeting you, and we were working at the same church together at one point, and
Yes,
this
sir.
was my first time being a part of a legit like communication department. My background in the day was literally, hey, we're just gonna do whatever the pastor says and just go for it. And there was really no strategy back in the day. I didn't even know what that looked like. It was just, hey, go, 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 last minute, deadlines and stuff. And it was just super stressful. And I remember I took you out for lunch one day, and I had my production company, and
Yes.
I showed you my website, and you just literally just ripped it to shreds. but but in the greatest way though, in the greatest way. Like you taught me about this guy. His name's Donald Miller, and
Yes, sir.
you talked to me about building a story brand, and literally, dude, that like revolutionized my mindset. It was like a total mind blown moment where I realized, oh my gosh, like um I can further impact with the videos that I create and the people that I interact with in such a far greater way and in a more systemized and structured way. And it was incredible. And I look back at that day and I'm like, that was a pivotal point, a pivotal moment in my career where I was just like, oh, uh, things can look different now. Things don't need to be always last minute. Things
Mm.
don't need to be, I guess, without purpose, literally without purpose.
Anytime that anybody has a conversation with me, I'm really just quoting Donald Miller, Seth Godin, Mark McDonald, Todd Unger, uh, Atomic Habits. I have different phrases from each of those books that I just say 100 times, and hopefully I'm helping somebody out with them. Because, like Atomic Habits says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yep.
And I mean, that was a pivotal thing for me. That's especially in church world, man. Like you said, everything's kind of last minute. It's kind of a let's make something to make something. And Mark McDonald, in his book Be Known for Something, really helped me realize, like, no, this is not the point of marketing or communication. We're not just there to tell about how great our church or nonprofit is. It's about leading people to actual life change. So,
Yeah.
man, I'm glad that that helped. I remember that conversation and the nachos that we had, and it was a good day.
I think, dude, to be real with you, like that gave me hope to want to pick up my business again. And having that conversation with you just really sparked that joy again of like, oh, you know what? I think I can like operate my business again and be a blessing to people and not be in a place of like burnout all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was, like I said, it was a very pivotal moment, for me. So
I mean, there really is something about when you aren't doing it for yourself anymore that shifts the way you do things and why you do things. Like it's totally a game changer. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, you're like, all right, I'm ready to go change the world, even if it's just building one email or something.
absolutely, man. And I think even learning to just the whole scope of a bird's eye view of what a comms strategy looks like was mind blowing for me. When people look at your website or when they look at your newsletter or when they look at your video, they're instantly engaged because they can relate to that pain point, right? And that's something that I had no idea about. In the freelance world, it was very much like, look at me, I'm with a cool camera, I'm on set,
Mhm.
blah blah. Just like having that mindset for so many years, it just fell flat. Like nobody's interested in that, like, but when you start talking to people
Mhm.
about like the struggles that they're going through, the time that and effort that it goes to do this certain thing or all these, or the desire to change the world, it's like when you're speaking towards that pain point, like it's just completely different, you're able to engage a wider audience that way.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of this is that the trends change. We saw that with social media in the 2007 onward. We're definitely seeing it with AI. They saw it when the radio came out. They saw it when television came out. Like all of these trends and the medium changes, if you can connect with people, then you're going to outlast of whatever trend. As long as you learn the why behind it and why things work, then you can change the how to whatever. You can adapt that for whatever you need. Because I mean, even from your point of view, the cameras change all the time, but telling a good story, that's timeless.
So, Nick, what are the top three things that a nonprofit or a church should do in order to succeed today?
I mean, again, it goes back to the learn the why, start with the why. And it's even back to what we were talking about before. And if I could, I'll narrow it down to one, and then I'll explore it in three different sections. But lift your head up. Don't. It's so easy, especially in a nonprofit, to just like get your head down in on the church. Anytime I say nonprofit, I'm also including churches. You get your head down in on all the good things happening and all the work that needs to be done, that sometimes it gets so easy to just focus in on yourself and like what your organization's doing. And I mean, this is even what we talked about with your website and everything, is you attract more people when you talk to them and you're speaking to them and addressing their pain points. So, I mean, if you can shift it from a we to an us, or a you, really. I used to always, I'm sure you probably got annoyed with how many times I'd be like, all right, or anytime somebody would write in copy and say, we've got the best cake in town. I was like, we. I would just always say that anytime somebody said that, because it's all about us and how great our cake is. What you're really going to do is, I mean, you've got to experience the best cake in town. Come to Danny's cake shop. You spin it to where it's yeah, this is the best cake in town. And it's going to change your life, because unfortunately, people don't really care about you. They don't care about your organization as much as you do, because they've got kids to pick up after school. They have a deadline that they have to meet at work. They've got to figure out dinner. They're trying to balance the budget. For a church, you are generally around an hour of their week. For a nonprofit, you're like an hour or two of their month if they're just a monthly volunteer, or you're a check that they write once a month or something like that. So really figuring out who are your people, how can we connect with you, and positioning. I mean, let's go back to Donald Miller, positioning them as the hero and you are the guide. So, going back to the cake example, not we make the best cake in town. It's, man, I know Danny. He is a hungry guy who loves a peanut butter cake, and I make a great peanut butter cake. So you could just shift that to satisfy your peanut butter craving. Come experience the best peanut butter cake in Las Vegas. And Danny Salazar is going to be there with a fork in his hand, Like, that's when you just shift it, when you're talking to Danny, that grabs his attention, which is, this is an attention-based economy right now. I'm sure I've told you this a million times. The 3 C's of effective communication. It's be clear, be concise, and be consistent. So you want to clarify what you're doing. Man, we've got the best chocolate cake in town, but how does this really connect with Danny? So, hey, come experience or come taste the best chocolate cake in town. Concise. You're not sharing it's all in your ingredients and everything. That's a thing that I would definitely say. Danny, you probably know this in the film world, of like when you're sharing, like, yeah, we're going to film this video and it's going to be a 3-day shoot, and we've got 6 guys who are coming in, and they've got 30 lights that they're going to set up, and we're going to do all kinds of camera. Like, your customer doesn't really care about all of that. What they care about is this guy going to make a video that's going to make me money? So you make this concise with, hey, we're going to shoot a video that is going to give you 3 times more engagement, which will lead to 2 times more sales, or whatever that is.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is Mark McDonald. I mentioned him earlier. He talks about finding your thread for nonprofits, for churches. What is that piece that's going to connect with your customer, your participant, your congregation, your donors, et cetera, et cetera? What is that piece? And then how can you just say it, and say it again? You've got kids. How many times does it take you to say, hey, go clean up your room, before they actually go and they pick up that first toy?
10 times. Yes.
Yes. And that's studies are showing that it's like 7 to 10 times for somebody to hear something before they actually take action in it. So you're going to get tired and bored of whatever message that you're saying way before your customers are even taking action. So that's one of the pieces, is don't get bored. Like, don't worry about you thinking that this phrase has been overused, because chances are your people haven't even heard about it. And then the third piece is make it so easy for them to take action. I mean, Todd Unger talks about this in his book, 10-Second Customer Journey. Donald Miller talks about it in Building a Story Brand. Don't make it hard for people to take action. On your website, first thing they should do is they should be able to look at that, say, this is going to make my life better, and here's how I take part in this. So, in the church world, in the nonprofit world, make it crystal clear and easy for people to volunteer, to donate, to find out where your church is at. There are so many churches and nonprofits that they'll spend their first the homepage of their website talking about how great they are, how long they've been around, and you don't even know what they've done because they've been so focused in on telling you the secret sauce to all the things that they do. You're like, man, I just wanted to find out where your church is and where the service times are. Or, man, I wanted to volunteer. I'm not going to name any names, but there was a nonprofit that I was helping out, and we were doing a big fundraiser for them, and it was going great. You were helping me out with it. You told some excellent stories. We had a goal of what we were trying to raise for them, and we exceeded that goal. And my wife saw the videos and the stories that we were telling. She was getting the emails and everything. She donated, and then she's like, man, this nonprofit is doing such good stuff in Las Vegas, is where we lived, and they were helping change people's lives downtown, which is where I lived in during that time. So it was like, man, I'm going to volunteer. She went to their website and she's like, I can't find where to volunteer. After about 30 or 40 minutes, she figured out she had to email so and so to get the volunteer application that she needed to print off and then drive it down to the ministry to do. And the shocking thing is, she did it. She did all of that because she was so compelled by what they were doing for Las Vegas. And then the person didn't call him back because they didn't have the systems in place to make it easy for her to get plugged in. And they probably had enough volunteers to, keep their organization rolling. But man, if they had a better system in place where she could have clicked volunteer, filled it out, and she gets a phone call the next day, she'd be plugged in and they would be just humming like a machine. So you can take that story and shift it into whatever nonprofit, whatever, business even, if it's a church, plan a visit and we're going to have somebody here waiting for you, welcoming you, and we're going to help you get plugged in right off the bat. If you're trying to raise money, it's donate now, don't make it hard for people to give you money. So back to the packaging of that, man, is pick your head up, look at who you're talking to. And when you do that, make sure that you're connecting with that person. And then make sure that you're telling them what you want them to do over and over and over and over until they're ready to take action. And then when they're ready to take action, make it so simple for them to get plugged in.
That's so good. Yeah, man. Geesh, I can riff a lot on that because I'm going to sound very churchy here, but we end up missing the mark on reaching out to our community, and making it easy for people to just get plugged in. People have to go through all these hoops and stuff, and when they see all through all those hoops that they have to go through, they're already checked out. They're already moving on to another place that has a better system. You said it so clear.
That's the piece, is you're not competing with the church down the street or the nonprofit that's trying to do the same thing down the street. You're competing with Netflix and Facebook and brunch on a Sunday. There are so many things that can pop up in somebody's life that, they make it super easy to click watch the next episode. And so if you aren't as easy as watching the next episode, the chances are you're not going to drive them to action.
So, Nick, what are some helpful ways for a nonprofit to gain more funds for their cause?
Yeah, and again, this kind of involves churches as well. One of the easiest ways, it goes back to what we just talked about, is reduce the friction. It needs to be ridiculously simple for somebody to give. And you need to tell them and tell them and tell them again. You've got to think through, who am I talking to? If it's a church and you're wanting people to come to your church, you probably don't put a donate button on your homepage. You put, where your service times are and where your church is and how to plan a visit. But you definitely want to tell the people who are already kind of bought in. So you plug that in on every single email. You plug that in on every single message that's playing, or every time you're telling a story about a life that's being changed. You say, hey, you already care about what we're doing enough to watch this or consume this type of media. Here's how you can get plugged into this ministry by funding us, or nonprofit, or whatever. So really, you've got to tell stories too. So make it easy for people to give, but then also, man, tell that story, and then tell that story everywhere. Say, this is, before you give, this is what life is like. Here's the problem. Here's how we're a guide to solving it. And here's how you can get involved. All you got to do is click here. So you plug a story of somebody overcoming some horrible challenge, and you're like, and this is how we do this. And then here is how you can help, because we can only do this because of you. All of that is, you move from being that hero in the journey into this guide of, okay, yeah, we can only do this because you have raised the funds, or you help us raise the funds. And here's what this person's life looks like now. Click give, and you can be part of this. Make that so easy, of 1 or 2 clicks to help them give. And then you use that story everywhere, and recycle it for social media. Put it in a testimonial on your website. Send that out in an email. Send it out in a newsletter, a written newsletter. Have your CEO or lead pastor share that story when they're giving a message. And then, man, this is one of the most important things. And again, this ties back in to picking your head up and looking at who you're talking to, is say thank you. Man, I cannot tell you how many nonprofits I talked to. I was just on a consulting call with an organization, and it's global, because I was in a consulting call with an organization in Poland last weekend, and they were like, yeah, we don't say anything to people. We got a check for like $50,000. And I was like, so what'd you guys do with that afterwards? Like, oh yeah, we used it for this. And I was like, how did you communicate to them? I was like, oh, we haven't. And they're like, no, you've got to. And, but then the coolest part about it was, they did like a letter writing campaign to all of their donors last week. They did this and then sent them out, and then received another check from a different person who had already given earlier that year for $10,000. Like, saying thank you and saying it quickly and sharing those stories of success and everything, it just makes people feel like they're part of what you're doing. Again, it's lifting your head up and saying thank you to your people. Many nonprofits kind of miss the mark here, because they're, again, just so focused in on, we're doing good, we got to keep doing good. One thing that nonprofits can really lean into, though, that churches maybe don't have quite as much of an opportunity to do, is kind of create these little communities and like identify these communities. So, if you wanted to call them the change makers, or there's a nonprofit I've talked to they call their people the well, but it's like this identity around these people of like, hey, you've given to us, and you're making changes. Make-A-Wish has a good one. I'm trying to think of somebody else who has one, but like, they get t-shirts, and it's like, I'm a difference maker. I make wishes come true. Or you've seen, like, this shirt helps free people from slavery, XYZ, where you can kind of like, all right, this is the only way to get involved. So you're part of this community now. And it does make people feel like, man, people like me do things like this. But if you're going to start something like that, you've got to talk to those people. They've got to feel like, I'm getting some insider knowledge. This is what people like me do. And people like me also get to hear stories that we don't necessarily share with other people. And I get a letter from the CEO or whatever. So if you're going to do one, you've got to make sure you are thanking people.
What is the most helpful material that a nonprofit or a church can get a hold of today and start running with a new communication strategy?
I'm just going to name all of the books that I kind of named before. I say Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller. This is going to be the best starting point for clarifying your message, connecting with people, driving them to action. For churches especially, It's Be Known for Something by Mark McDonald. This is going to help you focus in your church branding. It's going to focus in your church communication. I learned more in that book than I did my undergraduate degree. If you want to take it to the next level, Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller is a great step-by-step how-to on how to build different marketing funnels so that you can create those systems for people to take part in and build that relationship in a sustainable way. I mean, nonprofits, churches, we all are working with smaller budgets, and generally it's a smaller team. So if you can automate things and set it up to where you can help create that relationship consistently and showing up in people's lives consistently without it burning you out, man, that's the way to do it. In that same vein, we talked about Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's not really a marketing thing, but it will help you realize that, man, this is long game stuff. We're getting 1% better every single day. We're making this system so that what I'm doing in 2017 looks so much closer to my mission in 2025 it would if I was just chasing the wind. In the same vein of the church marketing, Less Talk, Less Noise by Ken Meyer is another great way to simplify church communication. And then I talked about the book that I learned more about in my undergrad, or learned more from than my undergrad. I think the book that I learned more from than my graduate degree was The 10-Second Customer Journey by Todd Unger. And this talks about building the integrated marketing communication system and understanding digital friction and conversion and how to test those things and how to make sure that what you're posting on Instagram is leading people into the actions you want to see them take and helping them to take those actions quickly and concisely and seamlessly so that they're bought in and they didn't even know that they had clicked 2 or 3 buttons to get there. They're not sitting there 6 months down the line waiting on a phone call from your volunteer coordinator that you had to print off a application and turn it into their physical location. You know, they're boots on the ground, lifting the boxes, serving the meals, opening the doors, playing the music, whatever it is.
I love that. I love that. Nick, is there anything else that we've missed? Is there anything that comes to mind as we wrap up here?
The 3 C's of communication: clear, concise, and consistent. Don't underestimate the power of being consistent, even if it's been the headline on your website for 5 years. Chick-fil-A has been saying eat more chicken since 1996, almost 30 years.
Wow.
When they shifted their marketing from eat more chicken, a very the customer focused phrase, when they shifted to that from we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich, their sales skyrocketed. And that's why they've stuck with that, because now your kids could probably say, yeah, Chick-fil-A, eat more chicken. You know, you want to connect, you want to capture that attention for people. So just because you're bored of it in the season, don't give up with that. Once you've tested and this piece, this message, this whatever is connecting with your people and driving them to action, man, just invest, double down, keep it clear, keep it concise, and keep it consistent.
Nick, thanks so much, man, for this conversation. I'm really hoping that this will be a pivotal moment for nonprofits and churches, just like how, we had lunch that one day many years ago. And I'm really hoping that this is going to just help so much more people. And that way they can actually look up and discover, wow, there is a better way to reach out to people. There's a better way to communicate to people, and it's going to benefit them as well, too. So I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, Danny, for doing something like this, connecting with people. You're providing some really great tools for people. And yeah, man, you keep doing what you're doing. I'm glad to know that plate of nachos had such an impact for you.
Yes. Yes, 100%. All right, Nick. Talk soon, man.
All right, man. See you, dude.
Hey, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Success in Focus with Nick Bynum. Hey, if you have any questions or any comments of what you've learned in this conversation, please email us at hello@revealvideo.vegas. Again, it's hello@revealvideo.vegas. Talk to you soon.